my part, I have 6 questions. First of all, I'd like to know why you wanted to be a medical doctor and how was the opinion of your family about your decision to be a doctor? And finally, how did you get understanding content?
They're very good questions. I wanted to work with people. So when I went to university to study history, I thought, but I was wrong, that history was about people. You know that there was Richelieu and Napoleon, all these very famous people who changed history. And I wanted to understand about people. And then I really thought, and I suppose I wanted to do something where I could serve and be of use. So it was really about working with people, in a way, serving people. I had quite a strong sense, I think, of public duty, really. My family, my father was very angry because I had 1 degree and a diploma. I had been away from home for 4 years, and he wanted me to go back to the village and live in the village and teach in a local school. And I told him I could never go back. I did not like, where I was born was full of factories, and there were no greenery, there was no parks, it was very ugly. I did not want to go back. He was very cross with me that I decided to be a doctor. My mother was more forgiving. And did I ever get understanding? My mother died in my first year as a medical student. My father, I think, did forgive me probably, but he always had wanted me to go home, and so was not pleased when, you know, I did not have a good relationship with my father, if you want. We used to argue a lot, even from when I was very small. I think he died after 1 year after I qualified, so he never saw me become a famous doctor. Maybe he would have liked it. Who knows?
At the time of the doctoral course, how long did you spend time for your research, and how did you spend your PhD?
My research was about 3.5 years, and I researched, I was doing research on fibroblasts, they're cells that make collagen, and in the disease I was interested in, scleroderma, you make too much collagen, so your skin becomes like leather. You tighten, and you tighten everywhere, and you tighten your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, and you die because of this growing tightness. So I was doing research to understand the metabolism of the fibroblast and what you could do to stop it producing collagen. So, you know, could you put a block in, a drug, or stop it doing what it was doing? The problem was it was a normal cell, not a cancerous cell. It was, the fibroblast still was normal. And to stay upright, your skeleton is mainly made from fibroblasts or the derivatives of fibroblasts. So it was a very difficult problem, because if you gave somebody a drug that completely stopped collagen being made, you wouldn't be able to heal your skin. So it was a regulation problem. And that's what my laboratory at the Royal Free has done. And they've also used other cells.
I heard that you finished the doctoral course 8 years later than your job, and you have compensated away many things for the degree. What was the obstacle? And we would like to know, according to your experience, what you think the most difficult situation or choice, and what would be the solution?
I was 8 years older than the other students in my year, and as I've gone through my life, that has been a bit difficult because people often say to you, but you're older, you know, and will you be able to do the job? I find that very irritating. So I suppose I've just tried to compensate by being very good at the job. You know, I knew I was always going to have a slight obstacle, and so I've always tried to prove any job I've done, I do it as professionally as I can, as well as I can. So people would sometimes try and exclude you if you were older than other people. But on the whole, I mean, that hasn't been a huge problem. I suppose I've developed a great deal of determination and persistence, and I've been in a hurry. If you qualify, if you get, you know, if you're 8 years behind everyone else or older than everyone else, you actually, I'm often quite in a hurry.
One question is, what is leadership for you? As a student, how should we develop the leadership of yours?
I think leadership is many things at different stages, so it's not always the same. But I think if you want people to see you as a leader and follow you, believe in you, then I think you have to earn their trust and their respect. I don't think I would follow anyone who I didn't trust and respect and believe to be a person with values that I believed in. So I think you also have to be well informed. You shouldn't be a leader if you don't really know the subject. You know, you need to know what it is that you're leading in order to take people with you. Occasionally, and I've certainly experienced it in my life, you have to make decisions which are difficult and only you can make them, and you won't please everybody. At that point, you are lonely. Leadership is lonely at times because you can't all the time keep people with you, and you may have to make a decision not to do something, to get rid of somebody, not to stop something happening. And that is, and I've had to do those things in my life. I've had to remove people. I've had to say something couldn't happen. And in the end, you know, there's only you to make that decision, and you have to be courageous then. So I think it's a mixture. But I think if you want people to follow you as a leader, you surely have to earn their respect and trust.
Next question is, what was the greatest challenge or turning point in your life until now? How can we promote the self-realization as a future global researcher?
Well, I'm old enough for there to have been many challenges in my life. So I suppose some of the biggest challenges was making the decision to be a doctor, because it was a very long and difficult journey from when I decided to when I qualified. So that was a huge decision. The next really big decision in my career was when I decided I would leave clinical medicine and research and move into government work and health policy, because I loved my patients and I had to leave them. That was a big decision. And the third turning point in my life actually was getting married to my husband. And what about self-realization as a future woman researcher? I think if you really want to do research, you really need good mentors and good people who you're doing the research for. The senior people matter. Are they going to support you? You know, are they going to help your career, help you with the papers and the research grants? So you will, you know, have you got enough, really enough support? So I would say knowing the right people, support from your boss, your mentor, and then really growing in confidence to do the research. But I believe young researchers must be supported in their departments.
Three questions. How do you find Japanese students, and we interest to know your future dream and your motto? The last one is, what is the secret of your keeping yourself so young?
Okay. I think you're very courteous. You're probably too shy, but I know there's a language problem, but I like people to ask me questions and maybe disagree with me, but I've been treated extremely well, and always have. I've been to Japan 5 times, so I've always enjoyed it, and I think underneath you've got quite a good sense of fun. I see it when I go out to meals with you, and I've been in Japanese homes and stayed in Japanese homes and enjoyed that very much. So what's my future dream? I have probably 2. One is related to the young women in my care at Newnham. I want them to leave Newnham into their careers to be really really self-confident, and I want them to become leaders in British society. So that's one of my dreams. And then my other dream is to keep my husband well. And so he lives a long time, but because I very much like doing things with him. He's having his knee replaced this afternoon, so that's why I'm so sorry we had a phone call. My motto, quite frankly, is go for it. Have a go. You can't lose anything by having a go. How do I keep young? I never think I keep young, but probably I do. I exercise. I run. I swim. And I run now. I used to run every day. I run 4 times a week now. But I do a lot of walking. I love to walk. I eat carefully, I have to say. And I try to stay interested. I love people, and I like visiting places. And of course, I am quite old, but don't think of myself as old.
Professor?